Not making any language learning progress is certainly not a fun time, as you probably know. If not, I'm telling you now, it's not fun to kind of just be stuck in that negative cycle of not feeling like actually doing any studying for the language and then not getting anywhere. You're just not making any progress. It's just annoying. It's called a rut, and that's what this video is going to be about. So language learning ruts, why you're definitely in one. I'm basically going to explain what ruts are, how they come about. A rut is basically an unproductive pattern of behavior with zero motivation and low frequency emotion. So if you're language learning and you don't feel like doing it, you're not motivated to, you feel really bad because you still want to learn a language, but you're not doing anything, that is probably a rut. And it definitely happens to a lot of people. There's definitely, like, every other week, there's like a phase of not wanting to do stuff. So I think understanding how this kind of thing happens is the first step to breaking out of them. Most of you probably didn't even know what a rut was. So yeah, if you do like this kind of educational content, definitely hit the subscribe button, but let's go. What is a rut? How do we destroy them? First, what actually causes a rut? So the thing about this is a lot of the time it actually isn't anything in particular. So I'll give you a few reasons of a few causes of ruts. So potential, can't speak properly. A few potential causes of ruts is what I meant to say. This is what happens when you go for a run right before you record a video. Your brain gets absolutely cooked. But it could be a random lack of motivation or energy, stress, a change in goals, dopamine hunting, which is basically where when you're kind of feeling down, you just go around looking for things that give you dopamine. Generally, it actually puts you into an even worse spiral. Hyperactivity, like not being able to focus, lack of macro focus, which means macro focus is basically not like focusing on one thing, but focusing like on like a long-term goal. You kind of keep flip-flopping around. Yeah, and many, many more, including just nothing. Sometimes you just don't feel like language learning, and that's just what happens. So regardless, you lose motivation to work, and that basically means zero progress. As we know, I've talked about the growth mindset before. Results come from effort. So if you don't actually try, you don't make any more progress. And obviously, when you're in a rut and you don't feel like language learning, you still want to learn a language. So this is just another compounding bad thing. You're not making any progress towards your goal. So this, as I said before, compounds and compounds and compounds, and it makes you feel emotionally terrible. I'll give you an example of, I think it was a week and a half ago. I made a few videos based on my kind of rut a week and a half ago. Basically, I set myself way too many goals, like a habit tracker. I set myself way too many things to do. As I'm sure I'll put a picture in another video, I completely messed up all of them. I felt bad, so I set myself even more things to do. It got worse. My health kind of went down because I wasn't sleeping or eating properly. I just started doing stupid things. Like I'm doing a cut at the moment. If you go to the gym, you know what that is. I just started doing stupid things like, yeah, I'm just going to do a week of eating unhealthy just to make myself feel better. Obviously, that's stupid. It's not going to work. And yeah, it literally went way into left field. And yeah, it just didn't go well. So I think anyone would kill to know the actual secret of breaking out of a rut, and very few know how, so that people kind of just have to let it kind of go on autopilot. But yeah, here is what I basically learned about how to get out of a rut, and now I'd consider myself reasonably good at it because I have managed to pull myself out of it. So here's what you need to do to actually break out of that kind of negative cycle of not feeling like language learning or anything for that matter. So first of all, I want you to visualize a rut is kind of like an injury in the gym. So I want you to imagine you're in the gym, you're lifting weights, you hurt yourself. What you're actually trying to do is continue as normal. So when you don't feel like language learning, you're trying to continue as normal and just keep going on and on like, nothing wrong's happening here. I just don't feel like it. We'll just keep going. And that is where the problem happens, because if you're in the gym, right, and you have that kind of injury, you can't just continue lifting the same amount of weight. If you're doing a 60 kilo bench press or whatever, and you hurt yourself, you can't just keep doing the same weight. You need to take a break, or you need to drop the weight. As far as language learning is going, you don't need to take a break per se, but you do need to kind of cut back on the amount of things you're doing. You can't progress with a normal workload. It's just going to make the problem even worse. But I think a lot of people, and this 100% includes myself, by the way, have kind of an ego where they try and push through without they sometimes actually try and make it worse. What I found when I wasn't doing the tasks I set myself in the rut, to kind of overcorrect, I tried to set myself even more tasks when I already wasn't doing the things I set myself. And it's so stupid because you're actually going to make the problem worse. It's like, imagine you have an injury and you try and you injure yourself on a 60 kilo bench press and you're like, you know what? because I didn't complete my workout yesterday because I was injured, I'm going to do an 85 kilo bench press. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid to do that. But as soon as we go back to language learning, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a bunch more tasks. That's definitely going to fix the problem. So the actual solution is to basically take the weight down. So instead of pushing through and trying to just do a bunch of tasks, or God forbid, making it even harder, what I want you to do is set yourself fewer or easier tasks and focus on doing them right. So if normally, say you do flashcards, you do listening, and you do reading, you do 3 tasks normally, just set yourself one. Say, I'm just going to do flashcards and I'm going to do them right. I'm not going to worry about reading. I'm not going to worry about listening to a podcast or whatever in Russian, or, that's the language I'm learning, whatever language you're learning. I'm just going to do flashcards and I'm going to do them right. I'm going to do nothing but that. I'm going to pay attention. And then when I'm done, I'm done. I'm done. That's what I want you to do. And I want you to especially focus on win stacking and gratitude. Win stacking is basically kind of like congratulating yourself for the win and stacking those wins to make yourself feel good. So what I'd highly recommend is to have like a notes section on your, how you have like notes on your phone if you have an Apple phone. You can make a note file called win stacking and you can add 1 win every single day. Highly recommend that. It's worked for me. It's worked for my clients. It's really good. And then also gratitude. You can gratitude journal. Paper and pen's probably better. But yeah, I want you, after you do that 1 win, to just say, let's go. Let's freaking go. I did the thing I didn't want to do, and now I can go do something else. I can go watch Netflix. I can go relax. But the thing is, once you've actually done that one task that you didn't feel like doing, and you know that you can take the rest of the day off, I don't think you will. I don't actually think you will. Imagine that you set yourself one task when you didn't feel like language learning and you did it so well and it's time to go relax and do something else. Do you actually think you would? Or do you think you go, no, I've done one. I want to do one more. Even though it's not in my habit tracker for today, I'm going to go do some reading or I'm going to listen to that podcast while I go for a run. I actually think a lot of the time that is what's happening. That is what will happen. And I'm talking from my experience there, but also from other people's experiences. So I think that is the solution to a rut. You take the weight back down, and as soon as you get back on board, then you can push it back up to whatever you were doing before. I'd also say, even though ruts can be random, and they largely are, like you just don't feel like doing stuff, sometimes there is a reason. And I know Robert Greene talks about in his books on human psychology and various things, he talks about thumb screws as people's weaknesses. I want you to find the thumb screw of this rut. What is actually the cause? Because the cause is also the weakness. And the reason the cause is the weakness is because if you solve whatever problem it is, you destroy the rut. That's why it's the weakness. So if you're in a bit of a rut because of, for example, your health, that's a big one. That was actually one of the big reasons behind my recent rut. It probably also manifested itself in my productivity on YouTube as well. But it might be your sleep, you're not sleeping enough. It might be your mental health. It might be your diet. It might be you're not doing enough exercise. It might be you're not seeing enough people, etc. And once you discover what the actual thumb screw of the rut is, it's so much easier to solve. If you've been sleeping 5.5, 6 hours a night, and you've been going to bed later and later every single night, pushing it back. You've had to do some early get-ups as well, which I know I personally had to do. And you were on tech before bed, you had caffeine late in the afternoon, you were eating a crappy diet as well, then that's the problem. You need to fix that. So what I did was I actually said, okay, I'm going to bed I overcorrected slightly. I said I'm going to bed at 8, because I am actually normally pretty good with sleep, and I did a bunch of sleep techniques. I found a few more. I lied on the floor, I relaxed myself, I made my room really cold, etc. And I was able to actually fix that problem of me not having enough sleep, thereby fixing the thumb screw and thereby destroying the rut. So definitely don't underestimate that. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, comment them down below and I'll try and give you actual, personalized feedback to try and help you. And I'd also say don't dopamine hunt. My speaking is atrocious today, sorry. What happens a lot of the time when you're having low frequency emotions in a rut? So, for example, you feel ashamed, you're not doing stuff, you're just bored, you feel sad, angry, kind of frustrated, all of those things because you're just not really doing anything. You try and dopamine hunt and you look for sources of instant gratification. So it could be junk food, it could be video games, it could be alcohol, like it could be anything. And you're just trying to give yourself kind of a good feeling. And that just isn't the solution. It actually makes it so much worse and you just spiral down and down and down until you basically hit rock bottom and you just kind of have to wait for it to sort itself out. So I'd highly recommend as soon as you feel kind of the urge to kind of slide into the rut, and you like you're feeling bad, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do something I'm not supposed to do. I'm gonna cheat on my diet that I'm on. I'm gonna have chocolate or whatever. Just say no. I want you to recognize that as what it actually is. Imagine it's like a little voice on your shoulder going, yeah, we're gonna do this now, and it's like it's not you. It's like the weak bitch version of you basically, and you just say no. That's not what's happening. We're not going to do that. And you don't say, I'm not going to do that. You say, we're not going to do that. Because that voice is actually a part of you. It's a part of your brain that doesn't want to see you succeed. This is a side note. I'll probably talk about this more. But I genuinely think a lot of people, particularly in the West, have almost a part of their brain that's kind of been put there by, comfort and all of these, comforts we have that actually enslave us, like junk food, social media, etc. And that part of your brain actually doesn't want to see you exist. That's why it tells you to eat unhealthy. That's why it tells you to stay up late. That's why it tells you to do this and that. And that's the part of your brain you have to eliminate. And yeah, I hope this video has kind of helped you with ruts. If you have any questions, comment down below. You will destroy it in no time. And guys, if you do like this kind of content, I would highly recommend you subscribe. It does make me feel better about all the time I put in for free to help you guys. And I've also got a link in the description to my Discord, which is completely free if you want to jump in. We talk about language learning and a bunch of other things. So yeah, I'd highly recommend you check it out. And thank you for watching. Have a good one.